What's up, guys? It's Monty, back with another Montyverse trailer reaction. This time we are looking at the newly released Marvel Studios trailer for She-Hulk, Attorney at Law. Yes, that is the new title of the show. I am very excited for this series. I'm really catching up with all of the main 6 Avengers after Avengers Endgame, and this show not only shows us what Bruce Banner is going to be doing, but it also introduces us to the new character of Jennifer Walters, aka She-Hulk, a character that I really love from Marvel Comics. She's a lot different from her cousin Bruce Banner, and I really think that she's going to inject a lot of energy into the MCU, especially in Phase 4. A lot of charm and charisma that the MCU really could use at a time like this. So, without further ado, let's jump right into this trailer, guys.
Being a superhero is a trial by fire. Who's gonna protect the world if not people like you?
I'm Jennifer Walters. I'm a lawyer. I have great friends.
Can we get some shots, please? It's an emergency.
A demanding job.
We just started a superhuman law division, and I want you to be the face of it.
And a frustrating family.
Cause you didn't ask for this, but you still gotta deal with it. Your transformations are triggered by anger and fear.
Those are like the baseline of any woman just existing.
Oh.
Bruce, kind of feels like if I don't transform, I'm gonna die.
Yes, yes, yes. No, no.
I just want to be a normal, anonymous lawyer.
Can you tell us where She-Hulk is?
Jen, you're a story now.
Girl, your ass looks crazy right now. You could be an Avenger.
Oh, I'm not a superhero. That is for billionaires and narcissists and adult orphans for some reason. Is there anything more depressing than dating in your 30s?
Yeah, this is the best date I've had in a while.
Oh.
Should we split some fries?
Let's get those to go.
I mean, listen, I really like this trailer. I think it's very fun, and what Phase 4 is really doing in a lot of their properties is it is injecting a lot of different energies into each property, and this really does feel like it is a sitcom or an hour-long dramedy type of series, and it feels so different from everything that came before it. I really, really like that. I gotta rewind here, because there was a couple of quick shots of villains in here, and I'm pretty sure... Yeah, that's definitely someone who looks like the silly Marvel villain, the Frog, aka Frogman. So that's fun. That's gonna be in there. This show is gonna be so silly, and I love it so far. What's interesting to see is we get a lot of Bruce Banner in this trailer, which I'm very surprised about. I don't think we're going to get a lot of him in the series, but I do think we're going to get a lot of him in the marketing for this series, because the Avengers sell, and people want to know what the Avengers are doing post-Avengers Endgame, and we got a lot of that with Hawkeye, and I think we're going to get a little bit of that with She-Hulk. We can see that Bruce has fixed himself. His arm definitely looks better from the damage he sustained in Avengers Endgame, so that is really interesting, because before we were told that that's permanent, but it looks like they're retconning that a little bit, or maybe Bruce is doing some experimentation that we will learn about in this series. A little backstory on Jennifer Walters. She is the cousin of Bruce Banner in the comic books. She is a extremely intelligent, gifted attorney. She is shot by a crime boss during her time as a lawyer, and Bruce saves her life by giving her a blood transfusion, giving her a lot of his irradiated blood, giving her the same kind of abilities that he has, but she eventually does learn to control them, and she decides to stay as She-Hulk for most of her time. And the trailer seems to be focusing a lot on the Savage She-Hulk, the origin of the character, where we get a lot of her learning to control her abilities. We're going to get some of her backstory. It looks like maybe from the trailer we see a car accident happen in the trailer. I wonder if instead of a gunshot wound, it's possible that Bruce saves her from a car accident. Either way, I'm sure we're going to find out how exactly she has Banner blood inside of her, outside of the genealogy. But I'm really interested to see that. And I really like the look. It looks like Bruce is going to be training her to control her abilities as well, which is interesting because we see that he was able to do that with himself as he is now Smart Hulk. But it also looks like not only is she going to transition between She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters, but it also looks like Blonsky is going to have the ability to switch back and forth also. And I wonder if that's because Bruce, out of guilt because his blood is responsible for turning Blonsky into Abomination, found a cure for him or found a way for him to be able to revert forms, and he was able to do that with Jennifer as well. But it does look later in the trailer like she learns to control her abilities, and she spends a lot of her time in the She-Hulk personality. You know, in the comics, there's this ideology that all of the Hulks kind of transform into something that they project themselves as in their mind. So Bruce becomes a monster because he sees himself as a monster, and in the comics, it's kind of hinted that Jennifer Walters' She-Hulk is not as hulking or monstrous as Bruce Banner's form because she projects herself as like the ideal version in her head of what a female looks like, and that's more like Amazonian, like big, strong, confident, beautiful. And that's why she ends up spending a lot more time in the She-Hulk persona as opposed to the Jennifer Walters persona, because she feels a lot more confident in that form. She-Hulk is a very confident character. She's very sex positive. She likes to date a lot, and we see that in the trailer. We get that little bit at the end with the Tinder dates. So she's just a very confident, empowering female character who's also extremely charming and funny and charismatic, and she has such a great energy. Whenever she shows up in an issue of the Avengers or the Fantastic Four, it is always a fun issue because she just brings a whole new dynamic to a lot of teams, and she's such a team player, and she makes friends so easily in the superhero community. Like, she becomes friends with Patsy Walker, Hellcat. She becomes friends with Gamora. She has these long-lasting friendships with so many different characters, to the point where she's even considered like a honorary team member of the Fantastic Four. She's basically like their first sub after Spider-Man. She's their go-to. She's very close with that family as well. And in the trailer, we can kind of see that. She has her circle of friends. She's very, she gets along with people extremely well. But we also kind of get that sense of maybe she feels a little bit more confident and empowered and beautiful in the She-Hulk form. And I think this series is going to be dealing a lot with kind of empowering yourself or finding that balance between life and fun and work. And I think it's going to be an interesting new series from Disney Plus, because we don't really have that kind of sitcom, Just You Me Spin City type of series, and this kind of has that feel, almost like Friends in the MCU, if you will. So I'm really excited. I mean, the CGI, people are going to complain about it because it's going to be a CGI heavy series, but for the first trailer and for getting a lot of as much She-Hulk as we did in this trailer, I think it looks pretty damn good so far. And this is not even the final version of it yet. We have until August. So I think people need to calm down about that, because I think this looks great. But I'm really excited for this character. I'm really excited to see. We even, before I conclude, I mean, I just want to make sure that I'm not talking out of my butt, but I know we do see a brief appearance of, yes, there he is, Jamila Jamil as Titania, who is essentially basically a huge rival of She-Hulk in the comics, and someone who's able to outpower her in their first meeting. So I'm very curious to see how they are going to interact in the series as well. We get a nice amount of stuff in this first trailer. There's a nice amount of things here. I mean, we know that they're going to, after she becomes She-Hulk and she starts working as a lawyer as She-Hulk, she's probably going to be recruited to work in this superhuman law division, and we know that superhuman law is something that's very big in Marvel Comics, and it's also very big in the MCU now. We have the Superhuman Registration Act, which is the Sokovia Accords in the MCU. So how will that be dealt with? How will things like mutants or Inhumans or Eternals be dealt with? You know, so I'm really curious to see how they handle the legal aspects of things as well. And there are also comic issues that that have She-Hulk going up against another famous superheroic attorney at law, and that would be Matt Murdock. And I'm pretty sure I saw pictures of Charlie Cox at the Disney Expo today. So I wonder if Matt Murdock is going to show up in She-Hulk. And by wonder, I mean I'm pretty sure he's gonna show up in She-Hulk. I'm pretty sure he's gonna be there. Because that would be cool. It would be cool to see these two superheroes go at it in a court of law. That would be such an interesting episode of television. But yeah, I just think this is so different, and I love the big swings Phase 4 is taking for the MCU. I mean, I know people have had divided opinions on the Eternals and Doctor Strange, but I've really enjoyed everything that has come out so far, and I think that this is going to be no different. I've pretty much enjoyed all the Disney Plus shows for what they were. They were all different. Nothing is going to be cookie cutter anymore. Nothing is going to be the same. We're not going to get everyone's complaint before was that the MCU was a factory, an assembly line, cranking out the same movie and over again. But now that they're taking risks and doing different things, people want to go back to that. But no, I like this so much more because this is essentially the live action interpretation of going to a comic book store. You go to a comic book store and you read the issues that you want, and you kind of look at the books that interest you, and you look at the ones and you kind of don't take the ones that you don't. So if this is something that interests you, dive headfirst into it, and if it's something that doesn't interest you, then leave it on the shelf. But for me, I'm very interested in this series. I'm very excited to see what the MCU produces with this. And I mean, I could talk about this for hours, but I think I might have to leave that for another video. We'll probably do a trailer breakdown because they gave us a lot in here, and I'm excited to talk about this series because this was one that I was really looking forward to. So, if you have your comments on the trailer, make sure to leave them down below, and if you like the video, give it a huge thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell because we have videos coming out all the time. We're doing character bios, breakdowns, reactions, all that fun stuff. So, until next time, guys, stay versed.